So I was going to make a video on issues, traits, subjects, and other aspects that I feel is a weakness for Western liberal democracies. Because we do have limitations, we do have weaknesses. This goes without saying. I was going to make a video specifically on that, and I might well amalgamate that into this video. I'm still actually deciding because it's a subject that I definitely want to discuss. But more directly to the point, perhaps more acerbic, is my own very honest thoughts on patriotism right now, and how this whole Russia thing has made me feel, and reflections that I've made about my country in regards to this. Um, I know that I've probably sounded a little repetitive in some of the videos, and that's been because there has been new developments every day, and in covering those new developments, I've I suppose reiterated some of the things that I have already seen. Um, I must admit that my overwhelming feeling about all of this is unease, not so much at what Russia has done, not at the power of the Russian Federation, but at the response by British nationals to it. Now, I'm under no illusions about the power of nationalism and the power of um, the perception of threat, because this is a subject that has come up. Like, it basically goes along the lines of, oh, the media want you to be anti-Russia and so on. Well, to be absolutely crystal clear, and I've already said this, but I'll just again re-emphasize it, I am not Russophobic, okay? I am not against Russian people because the average Russian person has done nothing to me. I am not against Russian culture. I think Russia is a fascinating country, and I mean that sincerely. But I am absolutely against the behavior of the Kremlin right now, and that's my stance on Russia. But if it was just that, that would be one thing. But what I've, to be honest, found more disturbing is the response that so many Britons have come out with, which is basically to come out with conspiracy theories, to second guess everyone in authority, because they probably think they're being open minded by doing so. And it's kind of almost an anarchistic approach. It's kind of rebellious. And they might well argue patriotism is to question those in power. Well, I would never say that anyone should be a loyal stooge to any government. That's never been my position, and that has not been what I have argued over the past few weeks. But I do feel that when your country is clearly under attack, you have to put party politics aside, and you have to at least have a degree of patriotism. Now, this year marks 100 years since the First World War, and I'm well aware that in that conflict, nationalism was used to um, stir up young men into joining the front, and arguably it sent many of them to their deaths. That's why when I express the importance of supporting this country, I'm also doing so with the knowledge not to translate into kind of blind neo-nationalism. Um, so I found myself kind of reflecting on my view towards those who I perceive to be stabbing this country in the back. I don't feel any guilt about it. I don't feel any guilt about taking a pretty hard line and a hard view on those people. But perhaps I've just got to know myself better. Perhaps that's what's happened. I've got to know myself better. Um, they are entitled to their view. We can't. We're not a totalitarian state. We can't say you're forbidden, from praising Putin. But I do find myself thinking, what the hell is wrong with these people? It's one thing questioning the British government. It's quite another going to the extent of actually praising Putin. Now, I've just come off a video. BBC journalist asked Putin. This was a few days ago before the election about the Skripal poisoning, and Putin, of course, deflected and made excuses. But what I found, I mean, I expected that from Putin. That wasn't at all surprising. But I scrolled down the comment section and I almost expected it. But the sheer number of Britons who were saying, "We love Vladimir, and the stupid BBC has been made to look foolish again, and can we have Putin instead of May?" And you get the drift, all these sort of comments. Now, granted, some of those might well be Russian trolls, so they might not be British nationals. But what concerns me is there actually are British nationals who have this mindset, who would actually praise a foreign authoritarian leader to the point of attacking their own country. You see, for me, it's not about worshipping Theresa May. It's not about singing Land of Hope and Glory and pouring vodka down the drain. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about a basic degree of patriotism, a basic degree of understanding the situation here, which is that we are under attack. Because when you look at, I'm not going to go through all the points again because I don't want the video to be too long, but when you look at all the possibilities, when you weigh everything up, it couldn't have been anyone but the Russian state. One of the common themes that's come up is, oh, why would they use, this, why would they do it now after so many years? And why would they make it so public? Well, what one school of thought would be that proves that it wasn't Russia because they made a mess of it. You could argue that this particular hit squad did make a mess of it. Okay, maybe that's not plausible. But I would be in favour of another point of view, which is that the particularly brutal nature of this and the fact that it was public was to basically have a stab at Britain and say we're powerful and we're not scared of you. Because Russia does look down on Britain. That's the point that these conspiracy theorists are ignoring. Russia sees Britain as a weak country. Russia looks down on us, right? So they wouldn't really care about their public perception in the UK that much. So I really don't think that is. I don't. I really don't think the fact that this was in public means anything other than the ruthlessness of the Kremlin. Um, yeah. So I'll make another video about areas where I think the West has weaknesses because I don't want this to go on for too long. I think the other videos are a bit lengthy. I do think the West has a number of weaknesses which I'll be discussing, which go beyond this issue. There are other things going on as well, which I feel um, do not help Western liberal democracy. But I've just found myself I admit I've been very, very angry about what I've been seeing. And I haven't held back from expressing my views on such people. I haven't made any threats. I'm not like that. I'm not making any threats against anyone. But I have, let's say, used colourful language because I don't think that this requires polite language. I think when people are stabbing their country in the back and they seemingly don't care about it, they need to be challenged. So I'm not beating around the bush about this. I have no respect for people who are actively praising the Kremlin right now to the detriment of their own country because I don't know what they think they're achieving. I don't know. They obviously think that they're open minded, but you're not being open minded attacking one power system by supporting another. Think about that. If you think you're being sort of oh, it's a duty of uh, it's a duty. It's they have this mindset that it's a responsibility to maintain your liberty by standing up to the government. Well, yeah, and you can freely criticize the government whenever you want, but there is a time, and not when the country is under attack. Um, all the issues that people might be unhappy about with the Conservative Party, of which a number of issues I'm unhappy about, their treatment of welfare claimants, austerity, you name it, all those issues. No one's telling you to drop your feelings about those issues, but this is not the time to be playing party politics to the Corbynites out there. This is bigger than Tory or Labour. Why can't you grasp that? Even John McDonnell and Nicola Sturgeon have recognised this. Um, and they're not two politicians who I often give credit to, but at least they have recognised this. Um, so I've learned some things about myself in recent days, but I've also learned about the shocking number of people who are willing to be okay with vilifying their own country. I mean, I find that very, very, very sad and very frustrating. So, yeah, this is just a personal reflection video. If you agree with me, thank you. And if you don't, I don't care. I don't have to answer to you. Simple as that. Okay, stay tuned. I'll be making a video on what I do perceive as weaknesses of the West. Also, in China, there has been a situation with a journalist that requires some commentary. Stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for watching.